Hello, welcome back to Jay's Bass Channel, and today we're going to talk about this 1994 American Standard Precision that I just picked up. Obviously it's a used instrument, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of picking up a used bass, what to look for, and what I got in this particular bass. Here's a quick run through. This bass, the weight is good, just around 9 pounds or maybe a little less, so it doesn't feel very heavy. That's the thing you want to look for in a used bass. It's got cast tuning machines, as you can see there. Now these are, if you can see that, that's not the standard old-timey Fender tuners, but something you saw a lot in the 90s. And I don't know if they really put those on basses anymore. I prefer the old style because they're easier to replace, but you can find these replacements as well. The neck is, obviously it's a rosewood fretboard, the maple neck. It's definitely not a vintage feel. It's a little more modern, a little wider-ish feeling. Not bad, but not vintage at all. So it's definitely a more modern 9.5 radius sort of neck. A little flatter feeling than some. I prefer the more vintage ones, but that's just a preference. There's nothing the matter with these. So it's got a nice, nice feel to the neck generally. One great thing about this bass is you'll notice it's got kind of an upgraded bridge there. If you can see that, that's a little bit thicker, heavier than a normal Fender bridge, and also these are through body. The string enters through the body and through the bridge that way, which is different from when you have to load them this way. That way you don't scratch the bass up as much, and in theory it's supposed to sound better. I don't know if it actually really does. And obviously the pickups in this bass are good, very usable pickups. When I'm just using it line in now, I'm not using an amp for the video. I'm just going into a preamp over here I have mounted in my rack. It's a A Designs Gold, and you notice when you're playing line in, the high end or the high mid can seem a little clunky. Most of the time that's going to smooth out when you play through an amp. I played through this bass to an amp and it sounds good. Kind of I really like vintage 70s bass sounds, and this one seems to be able to do that pretty well. The only problem I have with this bass is once we kind of put some fresh strings up on it, adjusted the tension on the neck so we had good action, is when I got up here to the top. Hear that? So whenever you get a bass, you may want to check that. Obviously, I have a great relationship with a guy that does my fret work, and I'm going to have to pass this along to him. So there's going to be some expense involved in getting this bass really ready for playing, because I do play up there occasionally. So anytime you buy a used bass, you have to look at, do I need to put more money into it? A bass like this is worth probably $900 or something like that, and all of a sudden I've got to put another 75 or whatever I've got to pay this guy for for the work that needs to be done on it. So when grabbing a used bass, like these player basses, yeah, you're probably likely going to want to put a heavier bridge on them, upgrade the pickup, maybe the tuners, but you're not going to need to do fret work and things of that nature. Sometimes it's nice to buy a bass that just is ready to go, doesn't need any work. Unfortunately for me, when I got this one, the action was kind of high, and when I played it up there, it didn't buzz, but when I got the action more suitable, that problem popped out. So things to look for when you're buying a used bass. Also the price. You want to be sure and look at sold items on Reverb, eBay, and things like that, and be sure you're not paying more than the average price. So when you go to liquidate the bass, you don't lose a lot of money. Hopefully you won't liquidate the bass, but very often you'll buy a bass, you think it's one you want to play the rest of your life, and it just doesn't bond with you, and all of a sudden you need to move that one on. Or you look around and say, wow, I've got 8 basses and I can't keep strings on that many. So there's a lot of things to think about, but here's a little bit of the sound of this bass. Obviously, it's a little bright sounding for recording. I'd probably roll the tone back and get a little more vintagey sound. Classic 70s bass sort of thing going on. For finger players, obviously that mid-range is very important to the voice. So I'm definitely very interested in getting the frets straightened out on this thing and taking this thing out, playing it on stage, and trying it on some session work against my other P basses. And this will be my only P bass that I've got that would be stock. So there's something to be said for maybe having a stock Fender P bass. I've got about 6 P basses, and they have all sorts of bridges and pickups. Of course, the standard bridge modification I use is the Badass bridge, but this one, like I said, I think I'm going to stick with all this stock and not fool around with this one, because these basses can end up being a real money pit if you don't look out. So I'm giving a thumbs up to my transaction on this bass. Just a little disappointed I got to do that, get the fretwork done, but this is not the first instrument that I picked up that needed to have fretwork done. Now, you could just raise the action to fix that, but then you're going to end up with maybe action a little higher than you would prefer. Another thing I'll say that I always start off with these basses with a 105 to 45 gauge strings. That's my favorite string gauge for standard tune basses. Obviously, if you tune basses lower, you might need a heavier gauge because the strings are going to get really floppy. So I will just also state that I always do like to put on all my basses on all these demos, they're 105 to 45 strings. And those can definitely vary between gauges, but that's a whole nother video. So thanks for checking this one out, and thumbs up to the 94 American Standard Precision bass. Hey, do me a favor and give me a like and a follow on my channel, because I've got a lot of cool bass info coming up soon. Thanks for watching Jay's Bass Channel.